This evening, another oil well will make it well for all Guyanese, lubricate every rusty area. It is golden on Guyana's horizon as the price and production of gold soars. Minister Harman defends Minister Trotman on ExxonMobil contract. The British Ambassador Gregory Quinn addressed the press today on Brexit. In the region, in Brazil, washed-up body parts are found meters from Rio's Olympic venue. And internationally, John Kerry speaks out on the grave nature of the challenge to curb human trafficking.
From Safetv headquarters in South Ramsgate Gardens, this is Safetv Headline News with Rihanna Hammond.
Headline News is now being streamed live on our YouTube channel, as well as our website, safetvguyana.com. Join us. In 48 hours, the nation will know the size and amount of the second well that was found by ExxonMobil and its partners. This find will strengthen Guyana's position as an emerging oil-producing country in the world. Andrew Weeks reports that Minister of Natural Resources Raphael Trotman broke the news at the Arthur Chung Convention Center yesterday.
In a press release today, ExxonMobil Corporation said that drilling results from the Liza-2 well and the second exploration well in the Stabroek Block offshore Guyana confirm a world-class discovery with a recoverable resource of between 800 million and 1 Trotman. Steve Gwynley, president of ExxonMobil Exploration Company, said they are excited by the results of a production test of the Liza-2 well, which confirms the presence of high-quality oil from the same high-porosity sandstorm reservoirs that saw in the Liza-1 well completed in 2015. Minister Trotman was very elated about the news.
There's reason to be excited. We are due as Guyanese that we've labored long and we've been denied long, and I think the fact that our neighbors have enjoyed the benefits of oil production, and we've always said, well, goat bite me, something wrong with us. So this tells us that we do have, and I believe that it confirms that our potential is real. Now, the important thing is what do we do with it. So we've got to carefully and deliberately and judiciously extract this oil, and the revenue from it has to be applied to the benefit of all Guyanese, regardless of who they are, where they are, party affiliation, ethnicity, any affiliation or orientation whatsoever.
Minister Trotman said the funds secured by the wells will also play a very important part in securing Guyana's future financial needs.
Between the Ministry of Finance and the Ministry of Natural Resources, we will establish a wealth fund. Some countries call it different names. Some call it a pension fund, some call it a heritage fund, some call it a sovereign wealth fund. But essentially, this is one where there'll be money available for spending now for infrastructure projects. It might be for education, for better healthcare services, for roads, bridges, and airports in the interior, and as well as money for, this budget support. So if, for example, the price of oil goes below $50 a barrel, money is taken out to keep the economy going. And then the third and very important function of such a fund is to prepare for the future.
The future, according to Minister Trotman, will see oil as our biggest reserve for the next 200 or 300 years. Guyanese can look forward to the good life, to an enjoyment of the wealth our oil production will bring.
Because like anything else, whatever is in that well or that hole is going to dry up at some point in time. So we don't want to squander all of it now. We've got to be able to save. And so we're looking at other countries. Norway stands out, but Trinidad has a fund, and many new oil-producing countries in Africa have funds, and we're looking to them, and we'll put something in place by the end of this year.
Rihanna, Minister Trotman also stated that Guyanese will be the first to get jobs in the petroleum business to come, but only 2 or 3 Guyanese have the skills in this area. He said University of Guyana is gearing up to train persons in oil and gas production, as well as legislation will be in place to Parliament to ensure that it is enforced. Rihanna?
Thanks, Andrew. That massive oil find will not mean that the government will pay less emphasis on the priceless natural resources that have contributed massively to the sustenance and development of Guyana, or so says Subject Minister Raphael Trotman. This story has more.
The importance of the gold mining sector, if I'm to name one sector, to our economy cannot be glossed over or underemphasized.
Natural Resources and the Environment Minister Raphael Trotman. He was at a time addressing a gathering at a national symposium, which is expected to bring Guyana even closer to joining the Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, EITI. With the current struggles being experienced on the world gold market, Guyana's declaration and export of this commodity seems bright and might even end up raking in the biggest chunk of revenue in recent times.
Since gold has been the largest earner of foreign revenue for the last 7 years, and from all indicators will again be our single largest foreign exchange earner this year.
Already for the first half of 2016, gold exports have soared to as much as $366 million. This is a huge development from the $188 million that the commodity raked in during the same period last year. This represents a massive and commendable 94% improvement, and the latter half of 2016 might very well result in great things for this income earner.
Our government looks at this expected revenue as being explosively transformative for the economic and social development of all Guyanese.
Cabinet Secretary and Minister of State Joseph Harmon, in response to a statement made by Natural Resources Minister a few days ago on the ExxonMobil contract review, said that government has the right to review any contract, including ExxonMobil's big oil find. But was the review triggered by the new oil find? Andrew Weeks reports.
Moments after opposition leader Barry Jagdeo lashed out at Minister of Natural Resources Raphael Trotman over a decision to review the 1999 oil exploration contract with ExxonMobil, Cabinet Secretary and Minister of State Joseph Harmon voiced his strong objection of the opposition leader's statement about Mr. Trotman selling out Guyana and made it clear that the coalition government has every right to review any and all contracts that were entered into by the previous government.
For Mr. Jagdeo to say Trotman selling out Guyana and so on, he is in that mindset because that is what he was accustomed to doing. That he's now thinking that because all of these things are now being put into the public domain, that is Trotman doing it. So he sees Trotman as a target. But Minister Trotman is part of a government, he's part of a cabinet that looks at these matters and as part of a process which gives us information of best practices.
Harmon said Minister Trotman does not make decisions on his own, but that he works with the instructions from Cabinet and from examples of best practices from different countries around the world.
And we are getting advice from these countries. We have actually getting consultants from them to come and help us in crafting the way forward. So I just want to put that matter on the table, that Minister Trotman is not acting on his own as his want to be the thinking of the leader of the opposition.
When asked if the review of the 1999 contract with ExxonMobil had triggered the $1.4 billion second well discovery of oil, Harmon said,
No. It wasn't triggered by that. It was a deliberate position which we took to look at these contracts, even before this was known, the oil find was known. We were doing that before.
ExxonMobil is the largest publicly traded international oil and gas company. It uses technology and innovation to help meet the world's growing energy needs. ExxonMobil holds the industry's leading inventory of resources and is the largest refiner and marketer and is the petroleum products and chemical company in the world. Rihanna?
Thanks, Andrew. Coming up on Headline News after the break, Parking Meter is undergoing the review process, and the United States Peace Corps will give aid to preserve our natural resources.
Everybody knows John Lewis Styles as the Levi's and Dockers store. But did you know we're also an authorized dealer for Nautica, Perry Ellis, U.S. Polo, Natural Issue, Joffrey Bean, and many others. John Lewis Styles, simply different.
With a distinctive flavor, Umda Palkagi is made from 100% pure vegetable oil. This algae is a delight when preparing sweetmeats and other dishes for healthy cooking with a rich buttery taste and aroma. It is used for religious purposes and is a principal fuel for burning. Umra algae is light, pure, with a real ghee texture.
Only at Kissoon's can you get the guaranteed offer of up to 50% discount on every item in their Blowout Factory Surplus Sale. 50% off for Guyana's 50th anniversary right through the year. Check it out at their spacious factory outlet at Reinfeldt Industrial Park, where parking is no problem. They're in the mood to celebrate at Kissoon's. Once you want it, Kissoon's will make sure you don't leave without it.
This place is really hot. What's wrong with your AC?
It's not working.
Well, we wouldn't be able to continue this meeting anymore because this place is extremely hot.
Wait, please don't go.
Here's a company you can call to get your AC fixed. Action Cool.
Honey, what's for dinner? I had a hard day.
I'm sorry you had a hard day, but guess what, babes? I didn't cook today because the stove is not working.
Having trouble at home or at the office? Then call the professionals at Action Cool. Our fully trained technical team have the skills and experience in repairs of all air-conditioned units, refrigerators, gas stoves, washing machines, and a whole lot more. For further information, visit us at 86 Hill and Princess Street, Mandela Avenue, Georgetown, or call us on telephone number 225-7867.
There is no turning back. That was the sentiment expressed by the British ambassador to Guyana, Gregory Quinn, as he spoke about the country's exit from the European Union. Here's more. Britain has already voted to leave the European Union, but this very historic exit process will take approximately 2 years to be completed. This was the indication given by the British ambassador to Guyana, Gregory Quinn.
So until that formal leaving is negotiated in 2 odd years' time, the UK remains a member of the European Union with all of the rights, all of the obligations and all of the responsibilities that comes. And that includes contributing to the EU budget and contributing to EU development funds.
Britain has had more than 40 years of good relations with the European Union and all of its member states. The UK has been one of the most free-handed countries as it relates to the handing out of visas.
The goal and the desire will be to maintain that ease of travel for those who hold UK passports to as many different places around the world as possible.
EU member states have for years benefited from hassle-free travel into the UK. The country's vote to exit has bothered the British government so much that the Prime Minister even resigned. Surveys have shown that a large chunk of voters did not quite understand the UK's involvement in the EU and resorted to Googling it after they voted to leave.
The Prime Minister and the government policy at the moment is the decision has been taken, and that is the decision that will be implemented, and that's it, full stop.
So there's no turning back.
According to where we are at the minute, there is no turning back.
One of the arguments put forth by supporters of Brexit was that too many immigrants into the UK. This is quite bothersome to the UK envoy here, since he says that Britain has always been a tolerant nation.
The history of the UK is of a country which is multi-ethnic and multicultural by sheer definition, because it's impossible to actually find someone in the UK who is not, has not got some connection to somewhere else, for want of a better term. My wife, part of her family is originally French, that came over presumably after 1066. Part of her family comes from Poland and Ukraine. Part of her family comes from Ireland.
The Ministries of Natural Resources.
The Memorandum of Understanding paves the way for the arrival of 10 U.S. Peace Corps volunteers to Guyana in September. The goal of this project is to aid Guyanese in becoming better environmental stewards and to support the effective management and sustainable use of Guyana's natural resources. The volunteers are going to work and reside in interland regions, namely Regions 1 and 9, for 2 years. Director of the Peace Corps in Guyana, Ms. Linda Arbogast, detailed the framework of the project.
More specifically, our environmental volunteers will promote and support environmental awareness with youth through wildlife clubs. They will provide support to teachers in schools to incorporate environmental education into school curriculums. Volunteers will support the ongoing activities mapping in order
was their support for existing efforts. She said that they were filled with enthusiasm and commitment to the cause of environmental preservation. Addressing those gathered, Natural Resources Minister Raphael Trotman said the project was very timely.
So as we go about exploring for natural resources, developing those resources for production and sustainably using them, we have to be mindful of the people, rightly so, who live in the environments where those resources are found. We have to be mindful of the flora and the fauna that exist in those areas. And so we are very happy that we can partner with you.
Trotman further stated that the government welcomed the project and appreciated the relationship shared with the Peace Corps over the years. U.S. Ambassador Perry Holloway acknowledged the long relationship the Peace Corps shared with Guyana and expressed his confidence with the success of this project.
The signing of this Memorandum of Understanding between the Ministry of Natural Resources, Ministry of Indigenous Peoples Affairs, and the Peace Corps comes at a pivotal time in the government of Guyana, as the government of Guyana strengthens and intensifies its efforts to increase its biodiversity conservation efforts through protected areas and supporting sustainable development initiatives at both regional and national levels. It is foreseen that Peace Corps environment volunteers can and will support these initiatives while serving in their communities.
Ambassador Holloway stated that many of the communities chosen for the project never had a Peace Corps volunteer serve in their community. Present, the U.S. Peace Corps will now take on a new focus, which is the preservation of natural resources. Another main purpose of the Peace Corps' presence is the exchange of cultures. Rihanna?
Thanks, Kingsley. Cabinet Secretary Joseph Hammond said at his post-cabinet press briefing on Thursday that the Ministry of Finance has reviewed the parking meter contract and passed it on to the Attorney General for his review and final determination on the matter. Andrew Weeks reports.
As central government continues to see the local government function without interruption, the matter on the parking meter contract that Cabinet has asked the Minister of Finance and the Attorney General to review appears to interfere with this process. However, it is for the satisfaction of all concerned that the review is in progress. Minister Hammond gave an update on how far this review has gone.
The parking meter issue, as I reported last week, that the Minister of Legal Affairs and Attorney General and the Ministry of Finance, the Minister of Finance, were to look at the contracts. The contract, Cabinet's commitment was to review the contract. That's what Cabinet committed to do. And Cabinet will review the contract. The question as to whether there are matters which are taking place even before that review takes place, at the appropriate time, once the Attorney General reviews it, whatever the Attorney General advises Cabinet, Cabinet will take the necessary action in that regard. So whether they're bringing in parking meters or not, That is the commitment which Cabinet gave to do.
Minister Harmon reminded the press of President David Granger's recent visit to City Hall that called for the unity and transparency within the council.
And you'd also recall that the President himself visited City Hall during the course of this week and had some conversations with their city mothers and fathers. And I'm sure that they would have, you laugh, that is how it is termed, right? I'm sure that they would have had some healthy exchanges with His Excellency. And whatever is being done, I think must be done within the framework of that discussion which he has had with them. I think the President has made it clear that there must be transparency, and he's made that public. Transparency not only in government business, but in the NDCs, the RDCs, and all the way down. All the various tiers of government, that there must be transparency. I think that is the point that he made.
Smart City Solution, speaking to passers-by, demonstrating the work of an all-weather solar-operated parking meter, which are intended to provide jobs for over 100 young people and 36% in taxes between the government and City Hall. Rihanna, the parking meter deal could be jeopardized should the Attorney General find the contract wanting. This could result in the loss of a $10 million direct investment for the city of Georgetown and over 100 young people back on the breadline. Rihanna?
Thank you, Andrew. The Minister of State, Joseph Harmon, has confirmed that Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of the Presidency, Omar Sharif, has been sent on leave. Sharif was a former senior member of the People's Progressive Party Civic and was under investigation by the Special Organized Crime Unit, SOCU. Investigators from SOCU visited the Ministry of the Presidency and requested that Sharif accompany them to conduct investigations. Investigators were seeking answers to a possible fraud case and aspects of Sharif's personal financing and business interests. Minister Harmon expressed that the government did not sanction the investigation, but he received a letter from Sharif that notified him of SOCU's intent to investigate Sharif on money laundering and tax evasion. Deputy PS Sabina Moore will now act as Permanent Secretary of the Ministry of the Presidency. Still ahead, our regional and international news.
To 50% off for the 50th birthday at Kisumu.
In news from the region now, washed up body parts have been found just meters from the beach where volleyball athletes will compete at the Rio Olympics. ODN News' Jessica Wakefield reports.
Parts of a mutilated body have been washed up on the sands of Copacabana Beach, just meters from where beach volleyball athletes will compete in the upcoming. The discovery was made. This beach vendor and witness says, "I was here on Copacabana Beach. A woman and a young guy passed by walking. They said up there in front towards Leme Beach there was part of a leg, just some remains of the belly, and I just didn't believe it. So I went there to see it with my own eyes. I got up closer to there and it was real." The Olympics, which start on the 5th of August, come at a time of political uncertainty and economic instability in Brazil, which makes incidents like this all the more unsettling.
And internationally, Secretary of State John Kerry says the magnitude of human trafficking cannot be overstated as the State Department released its annual Trafficking in Persons report for 2016. The Associated Press has more.
When we talk about human trafficking, we're talking about slavery. Modern-day slavery that still today claims more than 20 million victims on any given time. And all 20 million are people just like everybody here. They have names. They have or had. We know that human civilization has had thousands of years to develop and make progress and establish rules and discern the difference between right and wrong. And we are part of a community of nations, proudly, particularly, that lives by and advocates for and believes in the Universal Declaration of Human Rights. Frankly, it's stunning, it's outrageous that even today the magnitude of the human trafficking challenge cannot be overstated. We all know the sad litany. Girls compelled into sex slavery, women sleeping in closets, let out only to cook, wash clothes, and scrub floors, men and boys forced to forego sleep and sustenance so that they can work around the clock, often in blistering heat or otherwise appalling conditions. And the good news is we have the ability to fight back. And believe me, we are determined to do so.
And that's Safetv 2 headline news for this Thursday evening. As we take our leave, we invite you to find Safetv 2 headline news on Facebook, YouTube, and safetvghana.com. You can also tune in tomorrow morning at 6:30 for a rebroadcast and Friday evening at 6 o'clock for more news. For now, I'm Rihanna Ahmed signing off from this newscast. Do have a blessed evening.